coming at you with another episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast made for real producers by real producers and with none other than Tampa Bay Real Producers. So we get to hang out today with Amy Storch.
Morning.
I'm excited to dive into your story. Amy, I know we've featured you, maybe a year and a half ago now with the first time?
Year and a half. Well, no longer than that now.
Has it been that long? Man, time flies, doesn't it?
That it does. Probably like 2.5 years ago and then a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we've had a couple different features, actually,
Yep.
with you. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit maybe about how you lost your important person in your life, your wife at one point. We did an article on that, and that was like a bit of a tearjerker for sure. But let's dive in a little bit to your story, Amy. What we usually start with is just your background. Did you grow up in the Tampa Bay area? What got you into Tampa? And how did you even get interested in real estate?
Born and raised in Tampa. I'm a tampon.
You are,
so we
huh?
say.
How about that?
So, my family has been here since the early 1900s.
Wow.
Grandparents were
So you
born.
guys really are OGs of Tampa, huh?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, they were like my grandparents were born in the old Don Vicente when it was a hospital. So a ton of history here with my family. It's just why I love it so much. So passionate about it. And then real estate.
What part of Tampa did you grow up in?
Tampa, I was in just town and country area. I went to Sickles High School. Went to Leto for a little bit. And now I'm in Tampa Heights. So love the Seminole Heights, Tampa Heights, Ybor area.
Up and coming area too, right?
Yep,
Tons
absolutely.
of development around there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you grew up in Tampa, and where did you start getting this itch for real estate?
I think when I was on the path to go to medical school, I just was so sick of going to school. Mm-hmm. My family is also in real estate, mortgage, and other side. Just they're all kind of like sprinkled in it. So I was just like, let's give this a go, right? I love helping people. Love real estate. I've always loved like historic homes, and obviously I love our community. So I thought it would be a good mixture of being able to not have to go to medical school.
So you were in medical school at one point.
I was getting ready to go.
You were starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that your major in college, or did you go to college around here?
So no, I got my undergrad. I just did an online program because I went into the military in 2010. So I had to do everything virtually.
Yep.
So I ended up with a bachelor's in healthcare management. Was either going to go to the medical school or med device route. But I just totally got burned out. Surprise, surprise.
I hear that medical space does that fairly commonly to some certain folks.
Yeah,
yes.
it totally does. But I mean, I ended up making a great, as we say in real estate all the time, pivot.
That's one of the hot words.
Hopefully none of you want to punch me for saying that. But
if you can, I'll tell you where to find her later. But
just make it hurt, please.
What year did you get licensed? Do you remember?
2016.
Okay, so it hasn't even been that long.
Not too long ago.
And I think, if I remember correctly, we featured you initially, I believe, as a rising star, I believe, in the market.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
sure.
That would have been probably right around 2019-ish or so, 2020 possibly, somewhere in there. And so tell us a little bit more about that journey. So did you start with the same team that you're with now? Did you end up working somewhere else for a while? And then eventually, because it's now with Cell State, would you classify yourself as a team leader over there?
I'm owner. Yeah, I own it.
Own it, right.
Me and Taylor Cresswell, we own
You're the
Cell
broker
State.
then?
He's the broker.
And you're the owner.
We're partners
Gotcha.
in the business though. So I've strayed away from the broker part. I need no more liability. So I started actually with my Ray Mahara and Associates.
Oh yeah.
I was with Ray for I don't know, like eight months probably. And then I moved over to Tampa Central, KW. Was there for a little short of a year. And just like me, I just wanted to do it my way and on my own.
Yeah.
So ended up having a meeting with Taylor Cresswell, who's the broker at Cell State Legacy and now my business partner.
Was he with KW at the time?
No, so his father is he's the president of
Gotcha.
Cell State Corporate.
Okay.
So wasn't even really looking, ended up in a meeting with him, walked in. I was like, who is this kid? Because he
does look young. He's got a young face still.
Yeah, he was all of like 24 maybe.
Okay.
So, but sat down, talked to him. We fell in love with each other. I ended up moving my license over. My numbers shot through the roof that next year. I think I went from like 4 million to I think over 9. I think in my second year.
That's a win.
Yep. So and then started a team. I started the Storch Group at Cell State Legacy. Um, and then I was approached by Taylor with the opportunity to open Cell State Coastal in downtown St. Pete. So we went ahead and did that. I remember getting my license and saying I never want to own a brokerage ever. Well,
look at now.
Here we are.
And when did that start?
That started in, oh God, was it 19 or 20?
Okay.
So I did that. Obviously, we all know my story. You know, my late wife passed away from cancer, so she had to leave her job and go on full disability. So I thought it was a great opportunity for her to have something to do and kind of spend her time, just planning and decorating and doing all of those things in the back end of the office. So it worked out really well. We were able to build something really cool. And yeah, so we're still swimming.
Yeah, it's awesome. And just to get some of the number stuff out there, I was able to see, over 80 units, I think I saw last year, according to what the MLS says anyway, which I know isn't always accurate, but about 80 units for the year, over around 40 million or so, if not more, for the year. So pretty healthy business for sure. What does the team look like nowadays? What's it consist of?
Well, after Katarina passed away, I just had to scale things very quickly. Obviously, everything was really shaken up, so we did it immediately. I look back and I don't even know how we did it. It was just, it was crazy times, obviously. But I was able to get the amazing Jesse Cage, which I'm sure you all know from, prior DJ 98 Rock. He got into real estate. He is now the team manager and just crushing it with us. He's an amazing leader for the team. Don't even know, I have no idea what I would do without him. So shout out to Jesse. And then Julia Pindar, she is my director of operations, left and right hand. The queen of all. I don't know how I would exist without her either.
She was nominated for a Real Producer Award, I remember.
She was. She's in her early 20s and just killing it, very responsible, and couldn't be more proud of them. I just couldn't. So yeah, we have those guys, and then I believe we're 7 altogether. So yeah, we're very family oriented. We're kind of the misfits of real estate. In the good way. we just do things.
Real estate needs some rebels.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Well, that's us. That's for sure. We're like a family. We're very tight. We take care of each other. We're not out to, obviously we're competitive, but we take care of each other. We want to build each other up and grow, and we're very into knowledge is everything in this business. So we want to stay on top of all of the new things that are coming up, all the new areas, all of the new projects. So we just want to come from a place of knowledge for our clients.
Is most of your focus now, Amy, on supporting the team and working with the people of the team, or are you still serving clients, and is most of your focus still on that side of the business?
I'm kind of all over the place. I think Jesse and Julia do a great job at the office of being with the team a lot of the time. I am out there kind of just spinning my wheels and going in different directions of how to create new opportunities for the team. I think that's the cool part about real estate is, now that I've been in it, I think this is year 7. There's just so many different directions you can go. And there's this city and, St. Pete, and everything is just growing so much. And it's so cool to be on the groundwork of all of this. And, we're creating the things now that people are going to be talking about down the road.
Yep.
So, I'm kind of branching out into some development as well. So more to come on that down the road.
Nice.
So very excited about that. Excited about Tampa being pulled back to what Tampa once was back in the day. The Gasworks project that's going on, Water Street. It's all really cool stuff. So to be in the forefront of that is exciting, and hopefully I'll be bringing some more stuff to the table for the team. I am still selling. Yep.
You got your client base. You're doing your thing.
Yep.
What are some of the strategies over the years, Amy, that you feel like have worked the best for you that you think helped you gain some of the traction? You mentioned earlier that you went from 3 million to like 9 million in that first year, I think it was, of working with Taylor.
Yep.
Obviously, you even grown beyond that now, possibly individually, but also collectively as your team has grown. So what are some of the things that, if you were to try to give some advice for maybe an agent who's still trying to figure it out for them, they're not exactly sure what niche they even want to specialize in, they're just maybe confused because God knows there's a lot of things out there to do.
Yeah.
What would be some advice that has worked for you guys?
I mean, just surround yourself with winners. Surround yourself with people who are out there, who are authentic, who are, their heart is in the right place. I just think that's been very important for me, and also just digging into all the things that happened to me and all the things that I was involved in prior to real estate. That's why I've had so many clients over the years, and I mean, I've dug into that. I've built deep and meaningful relationships, cultivated them, stayed in contact with people. It's daunting and it's scary sometimes, but I mean, if you want to get there, you really just have to dig into your roots and what happened to you prior to.
Is that what you would accredit? You mentioned that one big year where you had this big jump. Was there something specific that you think helped create that jump? Was it just tapping into those relationships more than you had before? Or what do you think might have caused that?
Oh yeah, Taylor Cresswell. Yeah, he is the pusher of all pushers.
Okay.
So
him just coaching you and getting out there and out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yes, I get comfortable in the uncomfortable. That's for sure. He's pushed me every step of the way. He still does. Even with real estate investing now that I've been doing over the past couple of years. We're closing on 2 more houses next week. So,
nice.
He has pushed.
These are like individual rentals?
Yeah, we do short-term rentals.
Yep.
So yeah, we're just, buying up and scaling, and, as Tampa grows, I think we're going to be sitting in a really good spot.
Yeah.
But he pushed me back in, 2009 to 18, I guess, to, I hired a real estate coach, Brian Eisenhower. So started working with them, and they really helped to take me to the next level. If it wasn't for being surrounded by people who know what to do and what the next step is, I definitely wouldn't be where I am.
For sure. So it sounds like getting a coach is a good step.
Getting a coach is a very good step, yes.
Yeah.
Do that, guys. Do that.
Whether that would be Taylor or somebody else out there, it sounds like you had a lot of support around you that helped you get maybe clarification of your vision and pushed you in a good direction.
Absolutely.
How much? So you mentioned the STR side. It's interesting. We had another Annie Fleeting was on our podcast not that long ago. Mm-hmm. If you know her at all, she's very involved in the STR space as well. And I know Frank Albert is too. I think you guys.
I love Frank.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yes.
He'll be on here one day soon on the podcast. But I know we've had a lunch together to talk about STRs. How long have you been involved in that space?
Well, it's been probably going on 2 years now. So
okay.
Yeah, I bought.
Now, do you have investors that you're working with, or is this all just for your own portfolio?
This is my own portfolio.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then Taylor and I have our own stuff as well. So
okay.
Yep.
And has it been? Have you learned a lot about like what's been working, what hasn't worked? Has there been some mistakes that you've made in that space?
I'm really glad that Frank was able to make all of the mistakes for us all first. Thank you, Frank.
So he provided some insight, huh? There you go.
Yeah, but I can't say that there haven't been some other mistakes made. But I mean, it's just it's so unique. I mean, we're such a destination city.
Sure.
And it was scary as all hell. There's a lot there's risk involved. There's risk involved with anything.
Of course.
Risk reward, right? But I mean, it's done well, and I'm glad.
You don't think it's too late? It sounds like some people feel like that opportunity has passed.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's what we say every single day, right?
I know
yeah.
It, yeah.
Oh, I wish I would have. Oh, I wish I would have. So I got sick of saying I wish I would have, and I'm just doing now.
Right.
So yeah, and again,
that's a smart thing to change as far as the mentality goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I bought my last one last October. Was able to get it. I bit off a little bit more than I expected. But yeah, took the house down almost to the studs. And so yeah, I was able to do my own, reno.
Yeah. You literally did that? Like you personally?
No, God.
I was about to say, I was like, wow, you really getting your hands dirty, huh?
No.
You really want to be involved in this business.
If you know me, that will nope, absolutely not. But yeah, it was so fun meeting with contractors every day and just the nightmares of things. But it was a great experience, and now now I have that.
How many units do you have
in
now?
my pocket. I I have 3 now. We're closing on 2 more next week. And
They're all
then
single family homes.
all single family. Yep. And I'm actually building in Riverside Heights.
Very cool.
So,
Do you have people on your team following that business model at all and trying to do the same? Or
yep, working with them. Every project I do, I have them come and see, and so yeah, I want
Very
them.
cool.
Just, I mean, I think it's important as well as like if you're doing something, bring it to your team. You know.
Of course, yeah.
My God, there's so much.
They want to grow
with
too,
this.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and grow with you. I think that's smart. Any great leader should do that, in my opinion. Let's go back a little bit to just, you mentioned earlier how you appreciate real estate being a space where there's so many different ways that you can grow and so many different things that you can get into. In your time now, you mentioned 7 years, I guess it is now in real estate. What do you think you appreciate the most about the business that you're in? What is the most rewarding part, would you say, of being now really like beyond a team leader? You know, you're an owner of a group, owner of a team. So what do you think really resonates with you the most about that and how rewarding it is?
It's so great to see go-getters go and get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's great to help, those personality types really just fall in line to doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, it's like it levels you at a certain point of, wow, like I did this. This is crazy, and now I get to help to guide others to do that as well. And I can be the Frank that was to me,
Yeah.
or Taylor, or I can be that person that people can be like, oh well, she did it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And I think that, that is incredibly rewarding. And then help again. I'm just come from a place of I love helping people. So all of the clients over the years, it's so nice to be able to, like, now that I've been doing it long enough, I have people who they bought with me years ago and they're cashing out on all of this equity. It literally is changing their lives.
Yeah.
So, that too is just beyond.
Yeah. You're making a real difference. It makes sense. What goes into your process, Amy, when you consider adding people to your team now? I think that's something a lot of team leaders struggle with, as well as what, maybe they've had some retention issues when it comes to agents coming and going and that kind of thing. It seems like, from an outside perspective, that you guys really have done a great job of creating this family culture that people aren't just coming and going from. It seems like you've retained pretty well with the agents that you've been working with. So I think for people out there who are currently team leaders or might want to go down that space, it might be something they can learn from you on how you've developed some of that culture. And, I'm assuming you don't just take anybody who wants to join the team. There's probably a process that's involved.
Yeah. No. Well, there's a strict level of hazing that we do. So
hopefully it's documented. Yeah.
No, it's not documented. We could get in trouble for that. No, we just, you have to be a fit. We don't just take anyone. And I think that's there's so many. People aren't just numbers to us.
Yeah.
You're either a fit or you're not. I mean, we were born in the gutters, like.
You like to get gritty.
we can't, but we work hard, we play hard, we have a good time, and you either fit into that or you don't. And if you don't, we don't. I don't want just numbers. I want a family. So
how do you determine that, though, in an interviewing process? If you go through that, if that's your current model,
I think it's just it's a feeling, and I also we also, all of us sit together with the team, and we're like, hey, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
We want for someone to be on the team who everyone wants around.
So it's a group decision.
Yeah. So we do. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we kind of funnel it through everyone, and if it feels right, it feels right. Sometimes it doesn't end up working out.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't think it's working out pretty well for us.
Now, do you have anything in place where you're like proactively recruiting to be able to grow the team, or is it more organic and people just kind of come to you because they're referred?
It's organic. Yeah, I mean, pretty organic at this point. We are going to start pushing a little bit more. Get ready, Jesse. I haven't talked to you about this yet. But
heads up.
Enjoy your vacation, by the way. He's leaving today. But yeah, I mean, it's really just more word of mouth again, and I think that's people want to work. People who want to work with you also will stay.
Right.
I don't want a revolving door.
Makes sense. How long was it? you were at first really focusing on individual production, right? I would
Right.
imagine. How long into that did you start this whole like process of going down the road of building a team? Was it pretty soon thereafter after working with Taylor, or did you still just focus on the individual production for a while?
Yeah, I'd say probably after being with Cell State Legacy for about a year, I started getting the itch. I
Yeah.
get bored really easily.
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I do? What else? What's next? So so yeah, just started building that out, and I mean, it has been ever evolving. I didn't know what I was doing at
Right.
all, but
Has it been more rewarding for you though to
yeah.
do it from the team perspective rather than individual production
It
side?
has been. It has
Yeah.
been. Again, we've built relationships that are just really cool.
Right.
Cool as all. So I'm glad that it all happened the way that it did.
No doubt. Makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I think a lot of agents, at least that I've talked to, if they go down that road on the team building side, it's for many of them, it takes longer than what it seems like it's happened in your story, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 years isn't that long a period of time, right? To
It's
go
terrifying.
from,
Yeah, I know. It is very crazy how quickly we were able to just do everything. Again, like I look back and I'm just like, and especially with everything that was going on.
yeah.
So yeah, it brings you to your knees at times. It's very humbling, and it's just been such a wild ride, but it's been great.
Sounds like it.
Super happy.
So, is there a specific challenge at all that you can remember or think of? Because I think a lot of times people tend to learn a lot from the challenges that they can either experience themselves or that they hear about from other people. And maybe it teaches them to avoid certain things or do things differently or plan for them in advance. Anything come to mind, Amy, that you felt like was a real challenge at some point in your journey that, probably helped you be stronger in where you are today? Obviously, there's the challenge of what you went through personally,
Sure.
right? With your wife, we can talk more about the personal side too. We are going to get into some of that. But even from a business perspective, is there a particular challenge you could think of that you think was a game changer for you or a moment?
I mean, honestly, it was the personal stuff, and then I've
Yeah.
always just been.
Just plow through, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of that's kind of me. So yeah, I was just determined to make something of this. I mean, for me to go through all those years of school to then jump ship and come over to real estate, I was like, I mean, this is it. This is make it or break it. So so it was just there was no option outside of making it. So and then with the personal stuff with Katarina, obviously it makes you realize that there's something much bigger than you out there, and that with all that we were going through personally, it really just was a guiding light for me to have real estate and to be able to have something else to focus on, and all of that was going on. So.
Yeah, and so let's dive into some of the personal
Let's
stuff,
go.
if that's okay. We do tend to get deep here sometimes, Amy, so I hope that's all right with you.
Oh yes, it's my favorite.
We've had some times on the podcast where we've had people break down in tears, so I just want to give you a little warning, all right?
Okay,
in
great.
advance.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
But so you mentioned earlier that you at first were thinking about the military or thinking about the medical side, right?
Yep.
And then you got yourself interested in real estate, sort of going down this path. So at what point? When did you meet Katarina? How long were you guys together?
2017. So we were together just short of 5 years, married just short of 4.
Okay. And that was a real estate connection or no?
No.
Not at all.
That
Okay.
was just random.
Gotcha.
Completely random.
And it was like immediate fell in love and just where it was from day one, or did that evolve over time?
Yeah, no, it was immediate.
Yeah.
And then she ended up getting sick. Literally 4 months into us being together, proposed.
Was she an interior designer? Did you say that before?
No, she actually was a mortgage broker back in the day, and
Okay.
she was a director of admissions for a massage and aesthetic school in
Got
St.
it.
Pete.
So when you get this news, like,
Oh, it was devastating. I mean, it was
imagine.
just crazy. So we were supposed to wait for a year to get married, but I was in the military at that point, which I'm out of now. But we pushed everything up. I married her 2 days after her diagnosis. I wanted to get her on TRICARE. So yeah, and then we just started the battle then, chemo, radiation, bilateral mastectomy, reconstruction. So, I mean, all of that went on for like 2.5 years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like there was a time where it felt like she beat it.
Yeah, she was in remission after radiation and after the bilateral mastectomy. So we had about 9 months of remission. All of a sudden, she had some pain in her neck, had that looked at. They wanted to wait because it was too small, but at that point it was already, if it was what it was, then it just was.
Yeah.
So, and they ended up doing a PET scan and she lit up like a Christmas tree. So, yeah, I just remember my head falling back, hitting the wall. I'm pretty sure I blacked out, and yeah, she was terminal.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So after you got that news, how long was it until she passed?
Less than a year and a half.
Okay. So that year and a half, knowing that this was like inevitable, right? Must have been just, I can't imagine how hard that would have been. But at the same time, could you have found beauty in that year and a half, knowing? Because I look, my dad passed away when I was 19, and I remember he was diagnosed in September of that year with pancreatic cancer, and then he passed away in December. So it was quick. It was like 4 months later he was gone, and we had a very like interesting relationship that was not the best for many years when I was a teenager. I was a bit of a rebel myself, but during those 4 months, we really were able to create a lot of beautiful moments where I was able to hear him more about like why he was how he was with me growing up. And it really, in some ways, I look back on it and I'm very grateful that we had that time, you know? So I'm curious, when you think about that year and a half, I'm sure it was extremely difficult, but there probably were some really beautiful times too, where you're like, we know what's coming, and you had a decent amount of time to prepare for it. What did that teach you? What was that like?
A lot. It was a lot. It was, lots of tears, lots of, and then of course it's like walking a tightrope on a razor's edge with, remaining hopeful, but then also having to be a realist about what's going on. So, that was a struggle. It was and we were able to, any of you who followed our story, you saw that we did so much traveling. We really just did live. So tons of amazing memories that we made. She lived to her fullest. Most people didn't really know how sick she really was.
Yeah.
I did, which was very difficult to, because people were like, oh yeah, I'm like, she's not great.
Right.
This is not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely beauty in the breakdown of everything. And, I'm still am, and I always will be extremely grateful to have been on that ride, and been there for her through all of the treatments, all of everything. I didn't miss one ever.
Did she continue doing the treatments even during those last year?
Yeah. Everything just stopped working. It metastasized into her lungs. So yeah, we had one of our biggest years. That's the other crazy thing. We had one of our biggest years ever last year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, it's nuts. But it teaches you life is short, and, go after it and get it. Life doesn't stop.
Right.
It doesn't stop. Even if someone else ceases to exist, it's, it keeps moving. So you got to keep moving with it.
Was that one of the first experiences, or the only one that you've had, where someone that was, that close to you had passed? Have you experienced that before in any way?
Yeah, I have. I've lost
others,
family members as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's interesting though. I think how people process, those types of challenges. A lot of times it's life changing.
Yeah.
I know, speaking again to my scenario when my father passed, like I look back at it and it made me grow up immensely,
sure.
As a 19-year-old kid who was more focused on partying and
just
all that fun stuff, right? Versus then realizing I need to be a man, and act differently. And it really changed my life in many ways. So I know it's still in many ways raw, and I really appreciate you being willing to talk about it. But I think people can many times like learn who you are as a person through those different difficult moments that you had to overcome. And it's extremely impressive that your business didn't suffer at all from that entire journey. It's like almost unbelievable to think about that.
It is. And I couldn't, without my team, I just had such a great support system. And again, that goes back to building something that, is a family. Like, when times get tough, we take care of each other. So.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. What do you love to do now for fun? What keeps you busy?
What keeps me busy?
Other than crushing real estate.
Yeah, real estate, and then some real estate, and then some real estate.
All encompassing.
Just doesn't stop. There's some beverages involved in food at times.
You're a foodie?
Yeah, foodie. I have a new girlfriend, and she has 2 children.
Nice.
So life is good with that.
Did you ever want children with your wife?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was talked about. I mean, it just got, obviously when she got sick, it kind of became a little mucky, but
right.
But yeah, it was definitely a discussion. But
so
yeah.
How old now are the kids that are involved?
3.5 and 5.5.
Oh, so they're young.
Yep.
Okay.
They're young, and yeah, it's nice to be happy again. You know, it's life.
So this is all new in some ways, right?
Yeah.
As a parenting role for you, I would take it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. From cancer to children. That's how we're rolling now.
You're talking to someone who has 5 kids, so I mean, I can understand the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
Talk about never stops. Like that's definitely a challenge that never stops.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Again, you just got to keep rolling with the punches. I'm not going to stop living just because a part of your life, moves on and dies. Got to keep going. So
of course,
that's what I'm doing.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, I think those lessons are brought to us for a reason. So what you choose to do with them matters. A couple rapid fire questions that I have for you that I usually throw in here. So just a couple things so that people can get to know you a little bit more. Do you have a favorite book or author or seminar maybe that you've attended that you feel like made a big impact on you?
God, but I have ADD so bad I have to be read to. So I'm a big fan of Audible. Went to Tony Robbins last year.
That's cool.
So that was very cool.
Is that the UPW?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was great. And then kind of off topic, and I love you, Jillian. We're actually having brunch on Sunday. Jillian Abbey, she just wrote this book. She's gonna hate me because I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, she wrote this amazing book about coming out later in life, so that's a whole different story. But I read that, and I'm just so ever impressed with just all these successful human beings in my life. She was on the New York Times bestseller.
Really,
never written a book before in her life.
And so you know her? She's local?
Yep.
Oh,
she's
wow.
local. So that was awesome. But sorry guys, I'm not the book person.
Okay. Is that something you're willing to talk more about? Like when you decided to come out and with the impact that had on...
Oh, I came out of my mother gay, so there's that.
Okay.
I'm not one of those.
You're not. So
no.
It wasn't later in life for you.
No, mine was not later in life. But it was just her story. I mean, it's really affected a lot of people. She was married with kids. She was married for I think 19 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but obviously, New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think it's just an awesome story of the bravery that she had, and a lot of people out there
Very
like
cool.
that. So,
do you have a favorite food as a foodie?
I love sushi. I love grilling. I like just steak, veggies. I like to eat healthier. Stay away from carbs as much as possible, but I will indulge.
I'm a huge sushi fan myself. Can't go wrong with that.
Yes.
No doubt. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show that you've binge watched?
Did I mention that I just real estate? It's just terrible.
So that stuff hasn't happened in a long time, huh?
It's very rare that I'm sitting idle. It's hard for me.
So you're not even into the HGTV stuff with real estate? That's the fake real estate, right? Yeah. That's not what it's really like at all. We all know that, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love...
Because my wife actually loves those shows. I don't know why, but she does.
Yeah, Next.
Do you have a favorite place to travel?
I'm pretty in love with Carmel, California.
Okay.
I have timeshares, so one of them is out there. So that's my favorite place.
Is that South California?
Northern.
Okay.
Yeah, it's above, so it's west of San Fran.
Okay.
So that, Santa Barbara, California.
Gotcha. It is pretty up there. Do you
then,
go all the way up to the Redwood areas, or?
Yep. Yeah. Yep, it's all the way up there.
Can't go wrong with Napa either. That's a pretty good trip.
I love it. And then the Amalfi Coast doesn't suck, so there's that.
Makes sense. You mentioned a little bit before, and we're going to wrap up with a couple last questions, but you mentioned a little bit before about the development side that you're kind of excited about. I'm also curious, is there anything more you can elaborate on as far as what you're excited about moving forward? What the future, what's that vision look like for what, whether that's personal or professional?
Sure.
What are some things that just fire you up about the rest of this year and beyond?
It's, there's just so many layers to real estate. There's, as we talked about, there's so many different things and avenues that you can, go down, and it's very cool to be able to. I can't really divulge too much, but it's cool to be able to, start getting into like building, and building things that are going to be here. I mean, we see some of these houses that have been here since like 1915.
Yeah.
And
there is something neat to that.
To be able to like leave your mark on a city that you love so much, i.e. this and me, like it's just really cool to be able to do that, be able to, become uncomfortable again. Be able to continue expanding just mind space and knowledge, and be able to share that back with the team and just people who actually want to know about development. So that's really got me going now. I'm pretty excited to just learn more, be able to execute it. And
how do you grow in that space? Or certain podcasts or something you listen to, or do you just talk to certain coaches about it? Or
I wish that there were things like that. It really is just in the trenches and trial and error.
Trial and error, huh?
Yeah, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Hopefully more trial than error, but yes.
Yeah. You can. Thankfully, there are people who have done it before me that I have, that I'm surrounding myself with. But yeah, I want to soak it all in and execute. And maybe you can have me back on, and I'll be telling you
For sure.
very good things are happening.
Are you focused on like residential development, or is it more commercial type stuff, or both?
In the middle, maybe both. Maybe some, multifamily.
Multifamily.
Multifamily. So yeah, just again, we're in need of housing here. So we're just coming up with some creative strategies to provide that. And then also, just leave our mark, do something funky, cool, something that people aren't already doing. So when we roll it out, I'll text you.
Cool. That sounds good. We'll definitely have you on to talk more about that. I'd love to hear how you're blowing up the Tampa Bay, housing area with more opportunities for people, right?
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that would be great. I know that there's a definite need for low-income housing for sure.
Yes.
That's out there. So that would be something interesting. If that hits your space or not, I'm not sure, but
yes.
We'll see. That's a good lead in though and segue to one of our last questions, which is really about legacy. And I think I always find this fascinating to hear what someone thinks regarding when our time does come, right? And hopefully it's many, many years from now for you. But I think it's important to operate from a perspective of what we do matters, and is there intentionality and purpose behind our actions, right? And our focus. So when you think about your legacy, Amy, and what you want it to be, when you are gone and for years from now, what are the most important things that you think come to mind for you that matter to you in terms of what you would want that legacy to look like?
I mean, leave it better than you found it. That's for sure. I think we just have so many contact points of being able to affect just people, and I was at one point in time one of those people that was just, I wanted to soak in all of this information, and I won't say I never thought that I would be where I am right now, but it's just really cool to look back and see that. So I think, leaving your mark on wherever you are, and then also just affecting people positively, teaching them, helping them to grow, I think that that's important. And then, when it comes to the community and real estate, I think that, building something that's going to be a better tomorrow and something that's going to, transcend our existence is very cool as well. So.
Makes sense. And I think you're doing that. I mean, from someone from an outside perspective, I've been impressed with not only the rocket projection in terms of numbers, but more importantly, I think as I've met some of your team and some of the people that I've seen at our panels and stuff, they love you to death. And it seems like you've done a great job of building this culture that people really do view it as a family, as you said. So keep it doing. Whatever you're doing is working.
Thank you. I love them too. I love you guys.
Keep going. So guys, last thing is if someone wants to reach out to you, Amy, and just pick your brain, or maybe they're curious about STRs or development, or loved something you said might have sparked an interest with some people, what's the best way to contact you?
Just call, text, hit me up on the social medias. I'm Facebook, Instagram. I mean, you name it. Number 813-451-9276. I would be glad to go sit down, have coffee, beer. I mean, whatever substance.
Cool. Just look up Amy Storch. She's everywhere, so
Yes,
you'll be able to find her. We'll get your number up on the video too when we post it
Sounds good.
on everything. So it was great to have you here.
Thanks
I
so much
appreciate
for
you taking
having
the
me.
time. No doubt. I know you're a busy lady. And the last thing I always try to challenge the audience with is that there's something that you invested your time into watching this episode. So the idea is to take at least one action step, right? Like, is there one thing that you can grab from this conversation with Amy that will make it worth the time investment that you had in watching it? So maybe it's you want to learn more about STRs, or maybe you want to have a conversation with Amy over a beer, or maybe you want to do a little research on development yourself, or maybe you need to find a coach if you're somebody who's still kind of in these early stages and you're struggling, you're not sure where to go. You heard Amy talk a little bit about the importance of that in her experience and her journey. So, or maybe you're someone who's going through some personal trauma right now, like Amy has, and you might need to find someone to talk to about that. So whatever it is, like, is there one action step though that you can take that would have made this time worth it? And if you do that, then it was definitely worth the investment in putting that time in. So we'll see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. Check you later.